Hello and welcome from Buenos Aires, Argentina to this episode of Crossing Borders with Nathan Lustig, where Nate's conversations with entrepreneurs doing business across borders and the people who support them, with a focus on those that have some connection to Latin America. My name is Josefina Dominguez and I'm an editor for LatinList, a proud sponsor of the Crossing Borders podcast. Sign up for our weekly updates on latinlist.com to get a summary of the week's biggest headlines in Latin American tech news. Nate's guest today is Juliana Sarmiento, co-founder and chief revenue officer of Envíoclick, a Mexico City-based logistics platform that connects freight and courier companies with businesses in Latin America. They talk about the types of companies Envíoclick works with and the reality of logistics and delivery in Mexico and Latam. They also discuss how the e-commerce landscape has changed since 2014 and Envíoclick's decision to expand to Colombia. We hope you enjoy this conversation with Juliana Sarmiento.
Hey, Juliana, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being willing to be here.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you for inviting me and our company to talk about stuff we're doing here in logistics in Latam.
Where are you in the world today?
Right now, I'm in Mexico, in Ciudad de Mexico. I live here. I've been here for 5 years and I love it. I'm from Colombia, but I love being here and living here.
Tell me a little bit about Envíoclick.
Okay, well, Envíoclick is a logistics platform. It's cloud-based, and basically what we do is connect logistics companies with business in Latam and develop powerful technology to help business achieve the highest efficiency on their market, in their operations, and give their clients an Amazon Prime kind of experience.
So what kind of clients or what kind of companies would work with you?
Okay, we have a lot of type of companies. Right now, we operate like the biggest e-commerce and marketplaces here in Latam, such as a part of Mercado Libre, Coppel, Electra, but also we help like small and medium business who do not have the opportunity to develop technology to operate in a really efficient way. So basically we have like the small business, like the entrepreneurs who sell on Instagram or Facebook also can use our platform, and we have a lot of clients like that. And these like mid or medium companies also like that are starting to sell online and starting to develop their e-commerce, who are searching for an easy way to do their logistics. They are also our clients, and we help all types of companies to develop a really efficient logistics.
So for people who maybe don't know logistics well or delivery in Mexico and Latin America, and they're thinking, well, just, you should send it with DHL or FedEx or UPS. What's the reality on the ground for somebody who doesn't use your service?
Yeah, like right now, like the biggest problem in Latam is like the clients are buying in e-commerce by their experience. And basically in the experience, like 60% of the experience of the clients depend on a very efficient logistics. And right now the companies do not have the technology or the knowledge to automate their logistics or have this predictability to know which kind of courier should they use depending on their product or where they're going to sell their products. And of course, what they do is hire a lot of people and teams and do everything in their operations manually, and that is really a high cost on the companies, and it is like not helping them being competitive or not just giving a good service and a good experience, but also in their costs and their business, they really are not competitive in their financials and having good margins because they have to invest a lot to do a decent logistics here in Latam. It's really like weird, but like from the biggest companies here, they do labels by hand, they do tracking by hand, and then you see all these huge companies from elsewhere coming here in Latam with really good technology and like, as I say, like taking the market and the opportunity. And we here know that in Latam, we have, if we give this type of platform and technologies to the companies, we are helping them to be more competitive. Also, like the logistics industry is really far in terms of technology, like compared to other markets. Basically here in the logistics industry, also the couriers and the fulfillment companies and the packaging companies do not have the technology to have tracking or to help have visibility or automate the logistics for the business. So basically there's a gap between what the logistics industry can do for the business and what the business can do for like keeping up with the experience they need to give to be able to scale and to grow. So basically that's why we decided to like 3 years ago, because we are 2 female founders and we worked at linio.com. That was the first pure e-commerce here in Latam, and there like 7 years ago we realized this was a really good opportunity in the market, and that's why we decided to launch Envíoclick 3 years ago.
So we'll dig deeper in the business in a few minutes here, but I want to talk a little bit about your background. Did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was it something that came up in your career?
No, I always knew since I was very, very little. I always knew I wanted to do my own company and like add value to the market. And well, I come from a family that are entrepreneurs. I've always known that's a good path, and I've always been passionate about it. And I've always seen the impact that entrepreneurs have in the markets, in the people, in the economies. So I always knew I wanted to do something by myself. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know when it happened. When I was in school, I always was doing like business. When I graduated from college, I started doing my own events company, but I always realized it was without technology really, without e-commerce, it was really difficult to scale and impact other markets with what I wanted to do. So basically, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I knew like e-commerce technology would be the industry or the area I wanted to be an entrepreneur on.
And talk about taking the jump from starting maybe non-technology businesses to realizing you wanted to do technology. How did you actually execute that?
Well, it was like destiny, you know. I was working on one of the biggest consumer companies in Colombia. I was working for the region, and then 2 years later, when I was working in that company, I realized like I wanted to do something by myself, and I knew in Europe and in the States there were like really huge tech companies, and that technology was really like taking the world. So I quit, and I was going to study in Europe and search for something that will help me understand how technology could develop business like 10 years ago. And then like the months pass, and somebody from Rocket Internet talked to me and reached me and told me they were going to open the first pure e-commerce in Latam. I didn't know exactly how e-commerce operated. I didn't know anything about it. And he was like, this is the first step for you to be an entrepreneur. We'll like hire a huge team of people, of entrepreneurs, and you're gonna develop this business and this new industry in Latam. It would be great. So basically they buy me, and I thought like, yeah, this is a really good way to start being an entrepreneur. And I entered Linio really early. I was one of the persons of the team that launched Linio Colombia and launched Linio in more than 9 countries here in Latam. And I was in Linio in a journey like 5 years, where it was like being an entrepreneur. Like we make our own decisions, we make everything happen. We start educating the market for the market to know that there was a new way for buying things, and it was really easy and really competitive. And like, I don't know, maybe I was in Linio when I entered. I was the head of home and living, and my job was to open the home and living business unit in every country. And home and living have a pretty difficult operations on logistics, because, you know, like sending a sofa or a refrigerator from one place to another, it was pretty impossible in those years in Latam. So basically over there, I started thinking about why there's not a company in logistics that can help, like the companies of like oversized products, to send the products, and why is this so difficult? So basically during those 5 years, I started to having this this feeling that we needed to do something. And at first I thought we could do it in Linio, and maybe we could develop another business in Linio to help entrepreneurs or businesses that were in our marketplace like operate really efficient. But then after 5 years, I realized maybe it was an opportunity for me and my partner that also worked in Linio. I knew Rosa, that it's my other founder here in Envíoclick in Linio. So basically 5 years later, we decided it was about time to jump and to start our own business. And that's how I started Linio with Rosa. Linio Envíoclick, sorry, with Rosa.
So going back to 2014, 2015, when e-commerce was just getting started in Colombia, Mexico, LATAM, what was it like then compared to now? What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the last 6 or 7 years?
Wow, the change has been a lot. Like at the beginning, I remember like at the beginning when we reached like the huge brands or the huge retailers and invited them to sell through our e-commerce, it was like a no. They like everyone saw the e-commerce channel like a channel of sales or an outlet, and they were not willing to put their brands in an e-commerce channel and start like selling through that channel. It was not an opportunity for them. They didn't believe that e-commerce would be like a really huge and important part of their business, and it was really difficult at the beginning. And also like giving the security to the clients that it was like really easy and it was safe to buy from internet, you know, and to put your credit card and like to have your product without touching it, or to buy your product without touching it or feeling it or trying it. So it was like really like a lot of years of educating like the final customer and our like in the marketplace, our sellers, and create the channel and create the industry. So yeah, it has changed a lot right now. And with COVID, like e-commerce has been like the first and principal sales channel for like any company in the world, I think. So basically right now, like the brands know they have to have this channel. It's their powerful channel, is their future. They're willing not only to put the outlet or the not lined products on the platforms, but their launches, their new products. Of course, people right now, because they can't go out of their houses, they know it's really secure to buy online. They know the service is great. They know they'll have their product. So it had changed a lot. Right now, it's, as I say, it's really easy like now to sell by e-commerce and online channels, and it's pretty great. It's the way to go, and the way that we're gonna like develop our markets here in Latin America and grow in a really fast and efficient way.
So digging into the logistics side in 2014-15 compared to today, what's changed?
Everything. I remember the first time I went, because in Linio, when we first started, we didn't have like negotiations with the courier. So basically, like the first orders we got, like we were the ones that delivering the orders to our final clients. Of course, there were no tracking. So basically, manually, we were putting the tracking on the status of the delivery on the e-commerce. And when we reached the couriers, they didn't know what we were doing. They didn't have even the technology, not even the biggest couriers in LATAM, they didn't have even the technology to like connect by API or to have an online on-time tracking. They didn't knew like, or they didn't believe of the scaling up of the e-commerce. So we didn't have like fair prices with them. It was like really difficult, and we were like pitching them, please develop technology. We will help you. We will invest in you. We need to scale this up, but without technology in your site, it will be impossible for us. And right now, like you see, like in most of the countries, you have like 5 to 10 like big couriers or logistics companies or fulfillment companies or packaging. Like right now, they have developed their API. They know how they have their e-commerce unit that can like manipulate the e-commerce product different and have different processes than the traditional way of shipping like huge amount of packages. And right now they also know we are a good partner, like platforms like Envíoclick. They need a partner like us to be able to develop technology to help us not only operate to help them not only operate in a really efficient way, but to connect them with all these huge companies that want to operate in a really efficient way. So like the mindset have changed a lot. The process in the logistics companies have changed a lot. And the thing that they right now are focusing their money and their investments on developing technology and being efficient in their companies. It's a really huge change, and it has been in the last 5 years. It has been really fast, and that's something that really makes us happy, or make me happy, because seeing how the industries have developed because of the e-commerce, the technology, it's pretty cool here in Latam seeing that.
So when you decided to go out on your own, how did you choose your business partner, and how did you get the business off the ground?
Okay, choosing my business partner, it was really easy. It was like organic, like meant to be, because we worked in Linio, as I told you. At first, I was the head of home and living, but my last 2 years in Linio, I was the regional commercial managing director, and I was also the director of the seller experience areas. And my partner, Rosa, she was leading the business intelligence and product teams in Linio in the region. So basically, we had to do everything together. We have to develop the technology we needed together. We have to develop the tools for the team to operate in a really efficient way. And as I told you, like really early, both of us realized like logistics was something that needed to evolve in the market, and there was a huge opportunity. And I remember with a couple of bottle of wines in weekends, we always talked about like, why don't we jump and start a logistics company? But then of course Monday came, and and we were like kind of afraid, because like we were two females in Latin America, really young, and we were really scared about like jumping in being an entrepreneur and launching Envíoclick. But then InnoHub, that is a venture builder here in Latam, the CEO of InnoHub have heard about us and our idea. He was a guy from Spain, and he reached us and he said, okay, I know you have this idea. I know you have been able to launch your company. I will be willing to invest on your idea. Let's talk. And yeah, like 3 months after that, after the first time he reached to us, we were launching Envíoclick, and we were having like a really small seed investment. And of course, we talked to our friends, family, and raise a couple of $1,000 and start our company. And of course, the journey has not been easy, but it has been great. And we see right now how our company, it's in 2 countries. We have more than 600 clients or businesses operating through our platform, and we have grown in a really fast way these 3 last years. So I think it was the best decision of our lives.
What were some of those ups and downs that you went through going from 0 to 1?
At the beginning, what was really difficult for us was to educate again. We have lived this part, like we lived the part of educating the market and like telling the companies or the businesses and the logistics companies that there was a huge gap, and that a logistics platform and a tech platform could help the market develop in a fastest way. So basically, when we first reached the couriers and the fulfillment companies, they were like, I'm not sure, like, you're just reselling labels. How are you adding value to the market? And it was really difficult to start educating like the couriers, and it was like the chicken and the egg, no? Because without the couriers, we didn't have clients, but without the clients, we didn't have like competitive negotiation with the courier. So at the beginning, it was like really hard to start having traction. But once like the first 2 or 3 couriers believed in the model, believed in the company, it was really easy to move and like have the negotiations with the rest of the logistics companies. And of course, we start like this. We entered in a market where we thought it was like really easy, of course, raising money. And at the beginning, it was like we didn't even needed to go out and raise money, but because the guys like or InnoHub just came to us and put up some money. But when we got out of our first investment and we start going out and finding investors to invest in these logistics industries, it was not easy. So basically, after I think a year and a half, we were in a pretty difficult position when we start thinking about like, we are going out of money. What do? We are not raising the amount of money we want. We are not investing in acquisition the way we want. So we had to make a cut in the team, like and rethink on our business to be more profitable. And how we could scale and keep growing in a really fast way without like burning a lot amount of money. And it was like really tough. I think it was the 3 toughest months of my life because you have this dream and you have sold the dream to a lot of people. Your team believes in you, and then you get in a point where there's no money, and how are you going to continue developing that dream? And what about all the things we've said? But then we were able to raise money, thank God. Not the amount of money we wanted, but we were able to raise some money, and some VCs start like believing that there was a really good opportunity in our business and in our industry. And we start moving from there. And of course, you have good days, bad days, but I'm really in love with being an entrepreneur. And I think what we're doing right now is like the perfect timing for our type of company. So it's been also great.
You talked about at the beginning of making the jump from a business with a good job, with two female co-founders starting something, and kind of the fear or anxiety of getting it off the ground. What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, who are thinking about leaving a good paying job to start something on their own?
I think it's about to jump. For me, I know this sounds like really fun, but if you really believe, if there's a market, if you really believe in what you're doing, if you are feeling the opportunity, it's just about to jump. Like all the great stuff has been done without anybody anybody doing it before. Normally you're like the first one. There's nobody saying how it's the perfect way to do it, or if you're a woman or a man, it's gonna be easier or not. So for me, it's just jump, like work hard, have resilience, like study, be in touch with the people you need to be, create a network of entrepreneurs that help you like grow your company, and just jump and start. I think the most difficult part is the decision, to leave this perfect, super safe job that you love and start something that you don't know what's going to happen. But if you just jump from there, it's, for me, I always say to my partner, and she said I sound like an alcoholic, because I always tell her, like, in difficult times or where we don't know what's going to happen, let's just give 120% today. Let's live one day at a time and do the best we can today, and tomorrow we'll see, and that's how we are approaching it. And that's my advice. Just work hard, have your vision very clear, know that what you're doing has a huge market, that is a business, that it's a need. And from then on, if you're the best to do it, you're going to do it, and you're going to do it great.
One of the things that we haven't seen in Latin America that much is companies that are Mexican companies and then expand into South America. You have an advantage since you're Colombian. It's probably an easier move to go expand out of Mexico into Colombia than maybe for a Mexican founder. But talk a little bit about the decision to expand to Colombia.
It was a tough decision, because in our minds and our advisors in the company always told us, like, to focus. Let's focus on a market, proving the product. Let's start from here and do not unfocus our efforts on anything else. But then I realized here in Mexico, when we launched, it was like we launched with 2 companies that that were doing something similar to what we were doing, and there was like competition, and the market is huge. We were never scared about it, but there was like somebody else that have seen what we have seen here in Mexico. But Colombia, there was nobody, and we have some clients here in Mexico that operate in Colombia, and they were always saying, please open Colombia, please give this opportunity to that market. And then we thought, why not? Like our technology is really easy. Most of the international couriers operate in LATAM. So basically to open our platform in Colombia with the 2 or 3 international couriers will be pretty easy. And we already have some clients that wanted to operate with us in Colombia. So I said, why no? It's the perfect timing. There's nobody in Colombia. It's without Brazil and Mexico is the 3rd biggest market here in Latam. I know the market, and then I was able to raise some money in Colombia and have some investors. So I say, why no? Let's do it right now. We are the first one in the market. So it was, at the beginning it was really difficult, but when we launched, we felt it was the right way to go. And right now we know it was like a really good decision, not only for our company and where we are heading to, and because we right now that we are opening another market at the end of next year. We know how to launch a new market. We know how to do it. We already have this experience, and we already have the tracking. We already have scaled up. We have a great product. So I think understanding that in the beginning of our journey give us a competitive advantage right now in terms of the market and the other companies that do something similar.
You mentioned COVID earlier and we've seen numbers in the US of the same amount of growth in e-commerce in 3 or 4 months as the last 10 years. I would think Latin America is similar or even more. What are you seeing in your business?
Yeah, it was something like I would never, at the beginning when COVID started, I was kind of afraid because in the markets, like the courier companies were stopping, and I was like, but how are you going to stop? Like, there's no way to sell or to continue trading in the markets without you, but when they start continue to operate, we saw the first 2-3 months of COVID that we start growing in terms of new customers in 5x times. And then of course we saw that some customers lowered their sales, and it was a pretty tough moment for some customers, but they were growing in 3 times or 3x month by month, or we have 2 or 3 clients that grew 10 times month by month in the first 3 months of COVID. It was really amazing for us. Of course, we were really happy because the education and it was really fast for us in terms of growth. But then of course, the 2 last months, it has also been a great growth, but you start seeing how it's more stable, the growth, maybe 2 or 3 times a month or 1.5 times a month that the market grows in the e-commerce channel. But then the mindset is so different when you start talking or you continue talking with the businesses and the companies. Now they realize e-commerce is the channel. They realize they need Envíoclick and platforms like us to keep growing and to focus on their core businesses and let us do logistics job. So I think Latin America in 3 months growth in e-commerce it will be in 5 years. So I think it was pretty fast here also in Latin markets.
Do you have any books, blogs, podcasts, or documentaries you like to recommend to people, whether about startups or just life in general?
Yeah, well, I love 2 books that I read maybe 2 times a year. One was From Good to Great. I love that book because it helped me realize what are the priorities in your business when you're an entrepreneur, where you have to focus your time, your energy, and your team's time and energy. So basically, I read it 2 times. Since I launched Envíoclick, I read it 2 times a year. And then the Sapos book, it was also, it came to me, the first time I read it, I knew about it, but it came to me when we were having a really tough time raising a year and a half ago. And it was a really difficult time for us. And then like reading how this super successful entrepreneur had these hard times and came bigger after those hard times he had, and how he thought and how he always put first like the team, the culture. It was like really open-minded for me and helped me like build this resilience that I think all the entrepreneurs have to have. So those two books, I love it. I also like hear a lot of podcasts. There's not one I'm like really love, but I just, when I do exercise in the morning, I always hear a podcast of entrepreneurs. I'm like obsessed with hearing other entrepreneurs' experiences. So basically, yeah, I always hear the stories of other entrepreneurs to learn from their mistakes, but also to realize this is not an easy journey, but it's like so fulfilling and so exciting that it's super worth it.
If you could go back to when you first started your business, knowing everything you know today, what advice would you give yourself?
I would give myself the advice to be more aggressive. I think at the beginning, we were not as aggressive as we were. Like we knew deep in ourselves, my partner and I, we knew deep in ourselves, this was like a really good business and this was a huge opportunity. But we were like scared to be aggressive, to grow in a fastest way, to go and knock the door of huge companies and offer our products. And I think if you know that you're doing something good and you have lived like the added value that a company like yours can add to the market, just trust yourself. I think right now, if we trust ourselves, maybe we would raise more money. Maybe I'm sure we would close very fast the deals we closed a year later. So I think that's about it. Like trust yourself, like be aggressive, and there's no limit.
What's next for you in the business over the next year or two?
Well, we want to be the first intelligent logistic platform in all logistics industry. So basically, right now, at the beginning, we were just like a multi-courier cloud-based shipping platform. Right now, we offer services and we implement our technology in industries like in the fulfillment, packaging, and we know how here in Latam, we are the only company that is implementing AI in the logistics, because the logistics industry are far in technology. They always do not know how, if they have enough capacity to move a package or a product. They do not know in real time or the exact date they're gonna deliver their product. They don't know if during the shipping process the product has been stuck in a stage of the journey and it's not moving. And our technology does that, predict that, and help like the industry and the businesses to have this predictability. So basically implementing this kind of technology in other sub-logistic industries, it's something that it's for us right now like pretty easy, and we know that we can help the market like grow and develop in a fastest way. We can't implement this in all the logistics industry. And right now in Latin America, we can assure that we have the most efficient service in logistics, and we can assure that to our clients and to the clients of our clients. And basically we want us to expand this as what we are doing to all Latin America, because in Linio, when we operate 9 countries, we realize like this opportunity or this problem is not only being lived in Mexico and Colombia, it's in all Latam. So basically next year we are going to open a new market, and in the next 4 years we want to be in 5 markets in Latam and expand our company through all Latam and give this service and evolve this technology and do things that right now haven't been done in the logistics industry in Latin America.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story. It's going to be fun to see you continue to execute, and I wish you all the best as you continue to expand in the region.
Okay, thank you, Nathan, for hearing us, inviting us, and I hope this podcast reaches a lot of women entrepreneurs and help them like make the jump and create more good stuff in our markets.
I hope so too. Thanks again for being here.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of Crossing Borders with our guest, Juliana Sarmiento. And thank you to Angela Andraca for producing this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with a friend and give us a rating on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's the best way to share what's going on in Latin America's ecosystem.